Today's episode of Beyond Distribution with GTDC was recorded live at the 2026 GTDC North America Summit. Host Frank Vitagliano talks with Sven Rathjen, VP of Global Partner Sales for HP, about the evolution of IT distribution and the growing impact of AI in the channel. Sven shares his journey from distribution to the vendor side and why that perspective still matters today. They explore how distributors are transforming into digital platform providers, enabling partners with AI-driven insights, new consumption models, and scalable programs. The conversation also covers HP's Amplify platform, AI adoption, and what ROI really looks like, along with how AI will reshape the future of the channel. Listen and enjoy this episode. Thanks for listening.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our GTDC Beyond Distribution podcast. We're having this today live at our annual event in Oceanside, California, the 2026 GTDC North America Summit. And I'm delighted, one, to be here, and two, to have my guest here, Sven Rathjen from HP, Vice President of Channel Partner Sales. Welcome, Sven.
Thank you, Frank. A pleasure to be here.
Yeah, excellent having you here. This is I was looking over your resume prior to us doing this, and you've had an interesting career. And so tell us a little bit about how you started in the IT world and some of the jobs you've had and what you're doing today.
Yeah, I started in distribution, Frank.
You did?
Yes, I started in distribution at a company at that time called Peacock in the center of Germany, and which through various different phases of the company history is now also.
Oh, yeah.
So I started at the foundation of the company. I worked in distribution, and through that I moved into various different countries, respectively worked for various different IT companies, predominantly vendors. And now I run for HP, our global strategic channel partners, which are the top distributors and the top global commercial resellers and retailers, which are served through the channel, served through distribution.
Mm-hmm. You know, that's interesting. There are some folks who've made the transition, but I find that the ones that I know, the foundation that you built in distribution serves you extraordinarily well through the rest of your, when you go over into the vendor environment, because a lot of people just don't understand distribution as well as they should, folks that are, in the channel, and secondly, don't understand the value, and in some cases, take it for granted. But now you've had it from both sides, so you kind of have a good understanding of it.
Yes, I would say that the foundation and the understanding from distribution is a vital aspect of how you have to enable the channel when you are in a vendor community. Distribution knows how to operate at scale, at a reliable, trustful environment for channel partners, and deliver a service what the channel needs. And distribution has evolved so dramatically, and I use this word specifically because it came from just traditional services, which are around logistics and warehouse management, towards a complete ability to deliver digital platforms and digital product sales as well at scale. So understanding distribution, understand the metric and the ROCE of distribution, understanding how they operate is foundational if you want to run the channel successful.
Yeah. It's interesting that the discussion you just went through regarding the evolution, that's exactly the theme this year of our conference, because it is amazing that evolution that we've seen from, basically what I used to call a bank and a warehouse, right, in distribution, into what we now have today. And the transformation has been incredible. And there's been a lot of changes along the way, but I'm really encouraged based on what I've seen. And what I think is most amazing is they're making these massive investments while they're still running a very successful, fundamental business that's important to the industry.
Absolutely. And if you think about, just look at the last 30 years, we started with, like you said, pick, pack, and ship and finance. Yep. Then it evolved into more digital early stage support, respectively, infrastructure, into services. And now we're having a digital ecosystem platform capabilities at scale, which enables in licensing management, services, transactional method in terms of consumptional models for channel partners, which are essential. So the way distribution evolved, the way it serves the market and the channel is essential for any IT technology company, from my point of view, to be successful and serious about.
Yeah, that's great. So let's transition a little bit. Let's talk about HP. So clearly, as pace of innovation continues, and the increasingly complex solution environment that we see, how is HP ensuring that its partners have the skills, the knowledge, the training to not only survive in this environment, but to prosper? What are you doing there?
So a couple of things here which I would like to mention, Frank, is the first one is that HP is a channel company by default. Yeah. We are more than 80% of our revenue goes through the channel, and we are consistently evolving with the channel together to ensure we can enable them to as well transition to the new, which where we're going from a more transactional type of business model to future more, subscription, respectively, contractual engagement, call it this way. So what we do is that, particularly on the AI side, we are training the channel in the most simplistic way through our platform, through our Amplify platform, to ensure they get the right education, what AI can do, how they can evolve, and how they can have a benefit from it. As an example, given our future-ready program for AI has been used by thousands of different people in the channel to be trained on what the capabilities are. Our Amplify AI platform is now 70% of our total business of our resellers have used our AI platform to understand, to learn what they can use the products, respectively the solutions for, how are the use cases, respectively to the segments they operate in, and learn from it. So we are putting a lot of emphasis on that. In addition to that, our aim is to ensure that whatever we do is as simple as possible for the partners, as scalable, to ensure that they can leverage the solutions we have wherever they choose to sell them to.
So what's your sense of the sort of the pace of the sort of transition that is clearly got to take place, right? Because you've been doing this for a while, as I have, and we've seen the channel go through also quite an evolution over the years, from a very hardware-oriented, approach
to contractual,
software and services, right? And cloud-based, and now we have this evolution that we're seeing. How do you compare it? Do you view it similarly to the transition, that we've gone through in the past, or is it faster paced, or what's your sense of that?
So I would say, Frank, the AI revolution is happening at a space which we still all try to grasp. And it's happening at any level in terms of the economy and or the business processes to what I see. So that means the past was always, it took significantly more time for transition into whatever is the new. AI is significantly faster. And if I see what we are working on to work with HP even more simple in the future, to have more easy engagement through our Amplify program and the AI tools we use, once they are deployed and how they can serve the channel, it's a game changer. So it's going to be faster. It's going to be depending as to how you define as a company your data strategy first. Because the data layer defines as to how you can leverage AI. And once you have that set, which is consistently evolving, it's changing at pace which we haven't seen before.
It is incredible. One of the things that I do hear occasionally from the partner community is the return on investment that they need to see in order to be able to make the investment in AI for sure. What's your sense there? Are you seeing any reluctance? Are you seeing any hesitation? Or what's happening in the?
I could say that I see hesitation because, as I said before, the foundation of AI depends on your data. And once you have the data layer in a way applicable that AI can tap into and do whatever you ask them to do, then you see the outcome. And there's definitely hesitation. However, I see this as an opportunity, because the ability of having an employee a team member or somebody in your organization being more productive because of AI, and all of a sudden do a task which takes hours to do it in minutes, is something which is a benefit for the entire company. And I see it with myself. If I need to work on certain documentation or presentations and or other communication, sometimes I needed days. Now, if I use AI, in that case, Microsoft Copilot, which we use internally, it takes me a few. Yeah. And then I have much more time to do other things. So productivity-wise, it's a benefit if you get on the train of the AI as quickly as possible for the entire company you work with.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier, and this is kind of how I think it comes together. You mentioned earlier the distributors and the transition to the platforms that distribution has made. One of the massive advantages I think we're going to see over time, and we see it a little bit now, but maybe not quite where it's going to be, is the evolution of AI-enabled, opportunity identification, right?
Yes.
Where the distributors are providing, leads to your solution providers, and obviously by definition to you, and those leads are enabled through their platforms, which are AI assisted, AI enabled, you could say. What's your sense there? Have you had discussions with the distributors? Are you starting to see that play itself out? What's your take on that?
We're already executing.
Yeah, excellent.
So, in that sense, our data, our Amplify data insight, which has billions of data points from all the sales we're doing globally, we are feeding this already into named distributors, which are part as well of your conference here, which is giving daily predictability on upsell, cross-sell, renewal, services, options automatically. Wow. So it's already happening.
Yeah, wow.
And it's happening in various different regions. There's certain complexity you always have to manage based on regional requirements from a country perspective, but it works pretty well. Yeah. We're going to be deployed with most of our distributors probably by the end of this calendar year globally. I'm pretty confident that I'm driving this very, very heavily internally to ensure that the data we have can service our partners to sell more, and we have to do it through distribution.
Yes.
Because they have the ability that once you ingest the data insights into a distribution platform, based on that, you can create a sales action instantly once the reseller is triggering, I need it, but I haven't gone to checkout yet. Yeah. So connecting these can only do one, and this is distribution.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. One of the things that I found over the years, because I spent a number of years on your side. In fact, we competed at one point when I was selling IBM PCs and you were selling HP products. But I also spent a few years at a solution provider as a CEO for a company for 2 years. And I have to tell you, it was really amazing from that side of from that side of the equation, watching what was happening, understanding it. And so I think as a vendor executive, as a channel chief responsible for that partner community, you really have to invest the time and the resources to kind of understand the business model, right?
Yes.
And I know you mentioned earlier, HP is a channel company and has been for a long time. But that level of understanding is really important, and certainly it's important in Europe when you have all the complexities associated with managing it country by country. Talk a little bit about that and what you're seeing there and how you manage that.
Yeah, so one of the key aspects we always look at, Frank, is that if we drive channel engagement programs, how can we scale it globally instantly? Yep. And then we look at it, so once we have done a channel program, what does it mean for a distributor, then for a commercial reseller to be applicable for this program and or be successful with it? Yep. And then we're trying to make sure that we can tap into this, hopefully with all type of digital engagement or activations, that you have instant scale. So coming to your example in Europe is that we're working with a few distributors who have the digital platform capabilities where you have instant reach based on central engagement. Mm-hmm. And that's different because if you go on a country by country level, until you get a program live and or the capabilities of a program visible, it can take you weeks, not if months.
Yeah.
But once you go digital and you're able to manage this centrally from a communication standpoint, and the only thing you got to go look at is language, then it's a different aspect.
Yeah, yeah.
So for me, this is why distribution has evolved into the center of where the transactions are happening. Whether this is a traditional transaction or it evolves into a contractual engagement based on whatever the end user or the reseller wants to buy.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, how do you think about this end to end as to what experience is the end user and the commercial reseller wanting to get from HP through distribution?
Yep.
And how do you make this as seamless and easy as possible?
Yep. Yeah. The thing that always amazed me over the years as a channel executive is when you talk to your partners, the number one thing they would talk to you about is ease of doing business.
Yes.
You must make it easy. You must make it simple. And what struck me is that never gets solved. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I actually mean it in a positive way. The reason it never gets solved is because we're constantly developing new programs. We're constantly innovating. And every time you do, you have to start over again. You have to start over with the training. And so obviously you see that and you've experienced that. And I used to try to, and you kind of mentioned this a little bit, I used to try to put myself in the seat of the solution provider, right, of my customer, and to really understand how our programs were impacting what they do on a regular basis.
So that's what I consistently do is that once we are thinking about a program, once we're thinking about a go-to-market activity, get partner feedback first. Yeah. But not only on distribution side, also on the commercial reseller side, to ensure that you understand end-to-end as to what the experience will be or what the complexity is. Because the feedback you get then you can plug it into what you want to do, makes the execution most of the time even better. You always have something down the line which, this is just way of life.
You're surprised by.
Yeah, I never thought about that one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
However, if you can probably get to a 90% plus type of visibility of experience level, which you have because you engage with the people you want to do something for.
Right. Right. Well, the other thing is they appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Right? And there's a way to do it.
Partnership.
And the way to do it is not to build a whole program, hand it to them and say, hey, it's all built, tell me what you think. It's kind of give them the idea, let them kind of have a little bit of involvement. Obviously, at the end of the day, it still needs to be a program that benefits both parties. Absolutely. It's a win-win situation. But, there have been examples, many of them, where vendors have really missed the mark and the community makes it clear that it's got to get solved.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, for this we have our partner advisory board, which is meeting twice a year. This is a global community of commercial resellers and as well as distributors, where we are consistently providing an outlook 12 months down the line as to what we plan, what are our priorities, and as to what we think we want to do. And we have instant feedback. And I can say for HP, our entire executive team is present during their meetings and listen to what the partner community is providing us feedback. And of course, there are two different ways. There's the distribution side,
right,
and there's the commercial reseller side. But only if you combine the two in a way which enables you to deliver the program, what delivers the experience the partner community want, you can be successful. And that is something I believe in strongly in the engagement to ensure that you understand the complexity. What are you dealing with?
Yeah, it really is important. One of the things that struck me the most when I left the vendor side and went over to run a solution provider for a while is the folks within the solution provider organization. They really don't understand the vendor piece very well, and those vendors that didn't take the time to do what you're talking about, didn't engage in a feedback mechanism, have advisory councils, et cetera, they weren't really very positive about them. And that surprised me because, the collaboration needs to be there for us to be able to successfully deliver a solution to the end user customer.
I'm with you, Frank. And I can say that for HP, it's the most important thing is to listen to what the partners want, and then adapt to what is workable. And sometimes, that's is our mantra. We really listen, understand, and then adapt to it. Sometimes we may not hit the mark because of complexity based on how we want to roll out a product or technology.
Yeah.
But you have to listen, and based on that, you deliver to what the channel wants.
Yeah, I think
that's how you build the trust.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly right. And I think the education process is really important too. And I think part of the education process is just the communications and having the discussions and talking with people. So talk a little bit about sustainability initiatives, because I know they're important to you, certainly at HP, but I also know that they're pretty significant in Europe, right, with the regulations that the EU has put in place. We started about 3 years ago at GTDC really focusing on this area, and it came from the distribution leaders in Europe who basically encouraged us to get involved and get engaged, and we've been doing that now for a couple of years, and it's a really important topic. Talk a little bit about what HP is doing in this area.
So since the foundation of HP, sustainability is core of HP. So it's a long-term history as to how HP is operating, respectively thinking about the environment, thinking about sustainability, and what we can do to the community in that sense. For us, we launched a dedicated program for 2021, and this program has been now being used by more than 70% of our resellers, and they are dedicated training for it. There's dedicated information on it. It's now a two-tier program where we have various different levels of qualification where each of the resellers, respectively commercial resellers and or distributors, can go through to understand what they need to do in order to be part of A or B, Amplify Impact. And it's very, very successful. And is sustainability for us, despite being in the foundation of the company, important? Yes. Is it going to be even more important in particular certain countries or regions in the world? Yes. There's certain government tenders, if you do not drive to sustainability end to end, you have a challenge to quote.
Yep.
And that's something the industry has to consistently work on. Be as well very transparent and communicatable about the transition time you may need.
Yes.
Because it's not going to happen overnight.
Right.
It's not possible.
Yeah.
But in addition to that, we are making sure that the products we are shipping are as environmentally friendly as possible. We took out lots of ingredients, oil and other stuff, plastic out of our packaging, out of our products, out of our process, the energy we are using for producing our products. So we are very much looking at this to be by 2030 very carbon neutral. Yep. Are we going to be at 100%? That's to be seen, but that's what we're aiming for. But I can say for any channel partner out there, you got to be on top of that, because it's not only a competitive advantage, it's as well for us as an industry a social responsibility.
Yeah, totally. And it's not a program. It's a way of doing business.
Exactly.
Right? And it has to be. And based on what I've seen, I think the community has to rely on companies that are acting responsibly, like HP, because there will be a time when they will not be able to quote products, they will not be able to deliver on RFPs, et cetera, unless they're comfortable that it meets all of the objectives. And so it's really important that they have that comfort level. So it's good to hear that you guys have made those investments and are as focused as you are in this area.
Yeah, it's for us. It's one of the foundations, Frank, and we are very much looking. There's a lot of stuff in the pipeline in terms of how we even further optimize our product portfolio to that. But it's something we're thinking about every day. And here comes another topic: is how to make sure once you have an idea, it works end to end with the channel.
Yeah.
And this means we have engagement with our distributors, we have engagement with our commercial resellers, and with our corporate end users as to, okay, how do we do this together? And this dialogue is on a consistent level, and it makes us better.
Yeah, and that's one of the main reasons we took the initiative that we did at GTDC. One was because we wanted to make sure all of the members within GTDC knew what was happening in the area, right, and had a consistent level of information. And then secondly, we pulled the supplier community into it so that we could ensure that there was an understanding among all the players as to who was doing what and how it was being done. And then we also spent some time with the regulatory, groups, right? And whether it's, the
European Union and others.
EU and others, and that's continued and will. In fact, at our European event, which is coming up in April, which I know you attend every year, we'll have at least a 3 or 4 hour session with a lot of great speakers, on the topic. So it's a really important area for us.
I can only say, looking at corporate or respectively government tenders, or call it institutional tenders, 3-5 years down the line, if you're not in ability to demonstrate your sustainability, you will not be able to close it.
Yeah. Well, look, I mentioned at the beginning that we were on site at our annual North America conference. And so in closing, my last question to you is, why do you come to this event? Why is the GTDC event important to you? What do you gain from it, and what do you look forward to when you come here?
Now, first of all, thank you for the invitation. I really appreciate that. So for me, GTDC has 3 elements. Number one is understanding market dynamics as to what the distribution is seeing, how are the differences by market, and they're different. North America is completely different to Europe, to Asia, to India, etc. So that is the market dynamics understanding is important. The secondary to that is get a sense as to what is in the state of mind and what the trends they're looking at. And based on that, understand what does that impact me? What does impact HP?
Yep.
And how do I take this back and translate this internally to a way, okay, this is what's going to happen. How do we react to that, or even be at the forefront to it?
Yep.
And the third one is about meeting the people and, understanding where the mindset is in terms of the business, understanding the mindset of the companies respectively, how HP can evolve with them together. So this is, for me, I always like it, the event. First time here in the US. I'm going to be in Europe. I'm going to be in Asia by the end of this calendar year, I think.
Yes,
you have your Asian event. So for me, it's about these 3 things which I want to take away from here.
That's great. I mean, that's really stated better than I could state it, right? but I will tell you this. I think you'll be very pleased with this year's event, because we're going to have a lot of interesting content. Right, we're going to have an economist, a global economist, talk to us about what they're seeing in the economy, which is really important. And then we also have a really thorough presentation from IDC that talks about the industry. Right, so you get kind of the global view, macro global view from an economic standpoint. Then you get kind of an industry view, and then there'll be discussions around specifically what is happening in the world that we live in, with the channel and with the solution providers, and what are the distributors doing. And to your point, I used to do exactly what you do. Then I'd take it back and I would try to, have dialogues internally and explain to everybody what was happening and why it was happening. And I think there's value there. And then the last point is the networking piece. I think the networking piece and the ability to talk to your peers at an event like this ends up becoming really important.
Yes, it is. Understanding that and getting a sense. If I look at one of my aspects of my role is how is each of our partners evolving within the next 5 years.
Yeah.
And if I need to understand or provide a viewpoint of that, you got to be here to understand. Okay, where is the partner moving? What is on his state of mind? What is he thinking about? Which directions, channels, categories, markets, countries? You only can understand this if you go to GTDC.
Well, we'll end it at that. That's as good a commercial as I could give. So, Sven, thank you very much for joining us. It's great to have you here, and I look forward to continue working with you.
Thank you. Me as well. Thank you, Frank.